Hey, Cosmic Warriors, spiritual skeptics, or just a random confused human. Welcome to another dimension. It's time to sit down with me, your reluctant mystic Michelle, coming to you from the void between worlds to talk about some really interesting metaphysical stuff. Who am I? Just a human who's been thrown into this place called Earth, who has a lot of questions, born with a whole bunch of gifts, but not a lot of answers. So what this podcast is going to do is explore some paranormal mysteries, energetic phenomena, and a lot of FML moments that have you questioning, what the hell are we doing here? So if you're spiritual or you're just really confused, this is the right place for you. So join me if you like riding the waves of the quantum ocean and getting really down deep into the WTF of what's going on here. Because, as I always say, there legit is no way I signed up for this. So if you're ready for a wild ride, let's go. What is up, everybody? What is up? Yes, it's been very quiet over here. Quiet on the mic. Life has not been quiet, but it has been quiet on the mic. So I wanted to come and just end out this year and close out this season with a episode that I have been trying to get done for a while now. But like everything in divine timing, it happens when it's supposed to happen. And I'm just guessing, knowing that now is the time. So yeah, we're going to talk about obedience and disobedience. And I know I've hinted and talked about this before, but it's very important to the point of I've been led, told, instructed to have this be my ending episode. So you notice the title of the episode is Talk to the Rock. Are you going to talk to the rock? And it's stated that way or titled that way because I'm referring to that one disobedient. Well, there are other parts in the story, but specifically one of the disobedient act Moses did that prevented him from getting into the promised land. He was able to see it, but not able to enter. And the scenario was the town needed water, his people needed water. God instructed him to talk or speak to the rock. Moses did not. Moses struck the rock twice. And that single act of disobedience led to Moses not being able to enter the promised land. And I know people are like, wow. First of all, there's some people who are saying, I had no idea Moses didn't enter the promised land. We've got some people saying, wow, it came down to a rock? It makes me really think of Elmo and Rocco. That feud. Completely something different, but yeah, Elmo doesn't like Rocco. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just search it up. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, it came down to a rock. Something as simple as being told to speak to the rock. So, being disobedient, there are things that come with that. Things that I have seen happen to people in real time. One thing I have learned with this gift and the ability to prophesize and using prophecy and taking that role very seriously is understanding the responsibility that comes with that. Now, if you know anything about my story, you knew I grew up in a very interesting background where I was born and raised Catholic, but the rest of my family, extended family outside of my home, were Holiness Pentecostal, a large variety of different strong Southern religious denominations, where because of my upbringing in Catholicism, it was not understood. So I was ostracized and pushed aside, and kind of made to feel not accepted or wrong or not having the ability to be able to have this gift. So it took many years, I would say up until my 30s, but really in my 40s is really I really leaned into it. I was able to be connected to spiritual teachers and leaders who really helped educate me in the space of what prophecy is. And from there, I just dove into the wonderful good book, and not just the Holy Bible, but other religious texts as well. And understanding, for me, my obedience is delivering the message, right? What happens when that message is delivered is not up to me. So I'm hoping that this gets to some people who are questioning, who are confused, because there is a large calling for people in this gift, in this space. There's a large calling right now for leaders, but there's a huge calling out for people gifted in prophecy. So, obedience. I'm really hoping that this episode is kind of what I needed when I was younger, and hopefully it will provide some additional guidance for those who are confused right now, who don't understand. And then I can give you some of my experiences about what obedience looks like. And no, it's not always easy. So there has been multiple times, specifically within the last 2 years, where I have had to lead, guide, give direction, support to individuals who have hurt me in the past. And those are the areas that I knew this wasn't going to be easy, especially when I was told that this person or these people would hurt you again, but you still have to do this. You still have to deliver the message. You still have to give this support, right? Because all of your actions and support should lead back to source, that divine energy. So yeah, I've had to learn the hard way that this does come with responsibilities. But the outcome of being disobedient, I don't want to touch. I have seen people who have been given messages literally decide to go against it, and within the next week, everything that was said that it would occur happened to them, and it wasn't good. I have seen people given direct step-by-step process that they're supposed to be doing, and they choose otherwise, and then everything they try to do after that failed. Now, some people might say, well, and if I'm talking to you, if you're somebody who is just realizing, and people can call it different things depending on what your background is, depending on what your teachings are and beliefs. I use prophecy. I just started using that because it had a negative connotation for me for such a long time. But some people say channeling, downloading. It's getting messages to be given. And when you do that, being obedient, and the person chooses not to do or follow whatever the message is, and something happens, some people might say, well, I'm afraid they're going to think I did that to them. No, their disobedience did that to them. Case in point, I am currently led to veil. So what is veil? It's wearing headwear, right? A veil, a scarf. Currently, when I prophesize, when I go into prayer, I'll wear a veil because I was instructed to do that. I was told to do that, right? And that's something simple to me. I'm like, okay. And throughout a lot of my life, I've had head coverings. If it's bandanas, usually, but so wearing a veil was not a big deal. Specifically, when I'm praying in prayer for somebody, interceding, prophesizing, I'll have a veil on. I was confused at why I was being told to do that. Now, when I had visions and dreams that I was going to be a nun so many years back, it made sense then. But I'm like, well, why would I need to wear a veil now? Yeah, some religious beliefs, that's a part of it, but not specifically Christianity, not like some others. But again, as I study, because you become a student of the word, a student of the experience. And in that, I learned that it's a part of the prophecy and prayer that you females have your head covered. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is an example of me being obedient. So once I started to do that, not question, just do, it made things so much clearer. And for me specifically, because everybody has their own journeys, everybody has their own experiences, but for me specifically, when I am veiled, I'm focused. It puts me in a focus. It puts me in an understanding that I am no longer speaking through me. I'm speaking the word. I am no longer adding or taking away. I am delivering a message. It puts me in a frequency mindset. It's kind of like when people meditate and they might chant, they might sit a certain way, hold their hands a certain way. For me, I have a veil on. Does everybody need one? Everybody has different journeys and stories. I'm saying in my experience, being obedient meant doing that. Now, will I have to wear a head covering all the time when I'm out and about and doing things? I don't have to do that right now. Will it get that way? Probably. And I say that because when I get messages and when I'm talking to people and when I'm asked to give messages to people, I can't schedule that. Like, I'm able to schedule recording pod episodes, which have not been consistent since the summer. I can schedule those things. But when I'm talking to somebody, there's not a knock on the door and it's like, all right, Michelle, we're about to go and do this. No, it just starts. I have to deliver this message. So because I can't schedule it and I don't know when it's happening, it might be something that I will have to moving forward as I advance in my divine assignments. And that's another thing. With obedience, takes you closer to what your divine assignment is. It's in your disobedience that moves you further away. Now, this is a message for some people out there who are just kind of confused on, okay, how do I know? How do I know? If you're new to this experience, and again, some people call it downloading, some people call it channeling. For me, when I'm directly connected to God, man upstairs, divine all-knowing source, you can call it whatever you want to call that energy. That's what I refer to. I know it's time to prophesize. Now, do I have other gifts? Yes. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know I have a lot more. But when I am in that space, in that way, I'm no longer in the front seat. I have taken a back seat, right? I'm just now repeating what is being told to me, and it's a different experience. Versus when I might be connecting to somebody or an energy that has passed on, when I'm connecting to energies that might be multidimensional, different energetic spaces, it feels different. And I know I've said this before in other podcasts, but if this is the first one you're catching because maybe you were sent here, maybe there's a message for you here, it feels different. The tone, you feel energy, you feel the Holy Spirit. You might cry, you might tear up, where in other experiences, when messages are delivered or interaction is being done beyond the metaphysical veil, you might not get that, right? The tone in which the message comes through is different. The wording is different. And I've talked about this before in my mediumship episode where I'm talking about when people cross over, sometimes they come in and they act a certain way that the person I'm delivering the message to would recognize, or they talk a certain way. When I'm talking to angelic or direct connection to the all-knowing, there's no jargon, there's no slang, there's no emotional elements. It's very direct and straight to the point. Bang, bang, bang. So there's differences. And with all of that too, and I know this conversation and this episode is supposed to be about obedience. I'm giving you my experience about being obedient under the title of prophet. There's ethics that go along with it. So sometimes I'll get information that I'm not supposed to share right now. Sometimes I'll be talking to somebody and I'm seeing them walk, or I know they're going to walk into a trial, or they're going to walk into something that they have to get through. And I'm instructed, I am not supposed to inform them of all of this, right? I'm here to support. I'm here to guide. I'm here to encourage. I'm here to point you back to your foundation. But just because I know stuff doesn't mean I'm supposed to share it with everybody. I'm not going to be trying to figure out, what you're doing in your personal life, your private life. That has nothing to do with me. And I do find concern around individuals who are gifted, because like I said, everybody has gifts. You just have to identify which ones you have and then lean into it. But I do find concern where people who have certain gifts choose to utilize them in ways to profit themselves and not the whole purpose of having them. I haven't been given this gift for myself. Okay. And I've said this before too. I've been told multiple times, the gift is for other people. Now, do I get messages to be supportive to me? I do. When I go into prayer, when I go into meditation, but it's never to the amount, quality, and extensiveness that it is when I give to others, when this gift comes up or shows up for other people. Now I have, God has sent people to me to give me information, to help support, to help fill in. But that's another thing I realized when I'm veiled in praying and when I'm veiled in meditation, it kind of helps clarify some things where stuff was confusing and I wasn't able to understand the message. It fine tunes it. I have realized that too. And again, for being obedient, because I could say, I'm not putting a veil on my head to do this. I am just going to run my mouth and whatever comes out, comes out. But I know that there is responsibility with each gift that we are given. So back to the rock. My question is to you, are you going to speak to the rock or are you going to strike it? There are responsibilities that come with gifts, but there's also consequences when they're not used appropriately. Now, what does that mean when they're not used appropriately? In my mind, that's a form of disobedience. If you're gifted in certain areas and you're using them for things other than what you were given or what they're supposed to be there for, and again, depending on your story, depending on your journey, it's going to look different. I know mine specifically, I'm giving message to the lost, the confused, the seekers, the people who have been pushed away, the people who have been ostracized. Those are my sheep. So everybody has different responsibilities with their gift. In my mind, disobedience comes when I would use this for my own personal gain, and not monetary, but it could be anything. It could be, okay, I know this part or this information about this person and they did something to me, so I'm going to use that against them. When you get into those spaces, again, this is me. Because I can't say with 100% certainty. Yeah, I kind of can, because it's said throughout all conversations where these gifts are they're supposed to lead to peace, love, that foundation, agape, that experience. If you're doing something that's bringing pain, I would reconsider. We're all, humans out here. We're doing the best we can. But sometimes when you're operating out of pain, all you're doing is pouring it back into you. And it comes back in different looking directions, different ways. So, I'm going to ask again. Are you going to speak to the rock, or are you going to strike it? There are consequences and responsibilities. Responsibilities and consequences. So, I feel that this is a great place to stop. I'm really, really excited about what's coming up within this dome of my responsibility. A very unique way to ensure that I'm supporting, that I'm guiding, and I'm being that messenger that I am being instructed to be. But at the same time, doing it in a way that is inclusive and welcoming, and whatever I'm supposed to be doing in that way, whatever I'm directed to do, because I'm definitely going to talk to the rock. I'm talking to the rock. I have been for a long time, but right now in my life, I have been placed in a position where a lot of things are going to start moving much quicker, much faster, much more focused. So hopefully this got to whomever needs to hear it. Being fearful of what your calling is doesn't stop the calling. Being fearful of what your calling is doesn't make it go away. Your gifts are to be used for others. And the longer you wait to step into that role, the more prolonged your response, because you do get blessings back in return, right? And that's one thing I didn't talk about. I did talk about, some of the painful things that I've had to do and participate in. I've talked about, it can be challenging when you also have individuals who you're supposed to be doing divine assignments with, and they just don't get it. There's some frustration around there, but you keep walking your path and journey. You will always have a guide. You just have to tap in. And there are gifts and blessings that come with it. That's why you hear sometimes so many people, when somebody's trying to give you something, provide something, and you say no, when they say don't block my blessing. You do get gifts. There are blessings that come with your obedience. Beautiful ones. Where I sit currently today, a definite 110% result of the obedience that I've had to stand in the past 2 years. Am I benefiting from it? Every morning I wake up, I thank God for the location I'm in right now. So there are gifts that come, there are blessings that come with it. But fear, it's not necessarily other people blocking your blessings. A lot of the times it's you. Fear, anger, confusion, they are all little blocks or boulders in the way. But with the right support and guidance, you can get around it, get over it, get through it. So, don't block your own blessings. And definitely when you get the calling, just ask yourself, is this my time to talk to the rock? All right. I hope your year has been eventful in the best of ways. And if it hasn't been, you're still here. You're still here. And we need you here. So thank you for riding my inconsistent boat of confusion. But I really appreciate you listening, you still being on board. I do have a book that's launching January 2025, and it's going to talk a lot more about how our souls are interacting in this space. but it's going to be delivered in a way that's digestible for many and not few. So hopefully you guys will like it. It's a nice little field guide. Really short and sweet because my attention span is very limited. So yeah, that's coming out January 2025. So definitely keep eyes out for that. But the podcast still isn't going to change. So we'll be jumping into our new season in January, where again, it will be a lot more focused in certain areas. But at the end of the day, it's all to guide, it's all to support, and we'll have a lot of laughs thrown in there as well. So you all take care as we close out 2024, and I'll see you guys on the other side of that calendar. Take care.